I'm Shahar Azani, and welcome to this very special episode of Eye on Israel. The Squadron is a new management training center recently opened in Manhattan's financial district, where ex-fighter pilots use F-35 flight simulators to give corporate executives lessons about business and life. In 2018, the Squadron's first Center of Excellence opened in Tel Aviv. Over the last 4 years, almost 1,000 companies, including Coca-Cola, Microsoft, and Google, have taken flight at more than 5,500 workshops at that Center of Excellence, many enjoying multiple visits. One organization has returned 55 times. Just goes to show you.
Welcome to the Squadron, the world's most elevated management training center.
Hi, welcome to the Squadron.
Please sign your full name here. Thank you.
Gear up and prepare to take off into a unique, thrilling learning experience.
Thank you.
Through our F-35 flight simulator, we equip leaders and teams to excellence for real-world business outcome. Step into the cockpit and fly a challenging mission in which you will encounter dynamic situations and make fast decisions, just like the business world. Our workshops are guided by real combat pilots. Join them in the debriefing room to analyze your performance during the mission and get practical tools to improve. We invite you to discover the better version of yourself.
Kobi Regev is the company's founder and CEO. He is a retired senior commander in the Israeli Air Force, working over 20 years in the defense and space industries. As an F-16 pilot, he participated in over, get this, 500 operational missions and flew in various fighter aircrafts, as well as performing as a pilot in the IAF aerobatic team. As a reservist, a very active one, Regev serves as a flight instructor in the Israeli Air Force Flight Academy, and he holds a sensitive operational commanding positions in the Israeli Air Force Command and Control Center. Kobi, thank you so much for joining us today right here at JBS Studios in Times Square in New York.
Great being here, Shahar. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you. And I of course, before we touch upon the Squadron and your mission, I want to talk about Kobi. As I mentioned in your introduction, very impressive, hundreds of flight hours, Israeli Air Force, which is a brand name in Israel and across the world. So thank you for all that you've done for the protection of Israel and the Jewish people.
I want to thank you, the Jewish community around the world, for supporting Israel. As a warrior in the Israeli Air Force, we are being criticized all around the world, but we know that we have a Jewish community, big one, supporting Israel. It gives us a lot of strength. So I want to thank you back, for you and through you, to the Jewish community all around the US.
It's a pleasure. I want to touch upon being a very active reservist. Maybe share with us a little bit of your flight experience as a pilot in the Israeli Air Force in Israel. Our viewers and the global community, they're exposed to the recent operations we have to conduct against terrorists in Gaza, sometimes in Lebanon, sometimes elsewhere. What does that look like from your point of view?
So Israel is fighting for her life for the last more than 70 years. So as a fighter pilot, you find yourself recently, maybe in a daily basis, crosses the border of Israel and doing incredible things outside to protect the state of Israel. Personally, as you mentioned, I participated in more than 500 Most of them we cannot speak about. It's happening far, far away from Israel. You know, where Israel need to depend only on itself. And we have the Israeli chutzpah.
Right.
So we operate intensely, and with very good results.
Let's take, for example, what happened last year during Guardian of the Walls.
Yeah.
There is sometimes a lot of criticism against the IDF and the Israeli Air Force for, you know, its use of power in those areas. As an active reservist, I can imagine that you may know a little bit more about what's happening on the ground. So if there is anything you can share just between us, with our viewers, with us, about that, your experience and that operation as an example, we would love to hear.
Sure. So Israel defends itself, and our battlefield is very complex. Gaza Strip is a very narrow strip with more than 2 million people live in a very, very dense environment. To reflect the power of the Israeli Air Force in this territory, this is a highly complexity environment. And we need to be very, very careful of operating, mainly because our moral value that doesn't allow us morally and operationally to hurt innocent civilians because they didn't do anything wrong. And in the other hand, there's a lot of terrorists moving around the Gaza Strip, planning and executing in the same moment terror activity against Israeli, and they can put our civilian in risks. So all of the time you need to balance how to act, how to be aggressive toward the terrorist, and how to restrain your power in order to not do a big collateral damage. I will give you an example, Shahar. One of the operations, we have detected a terrorist that we knew that he was walking toward the launching pad, and we knew that he is going to launch very big missiles toward Israel. And this is, of course, risk. Even though the Iron Dome is a safeguard for Israel, still it creates a risk for Israeli. And unfortunately, this guy was walking along with a kid because he knew that this kid will protect him. So we knew that there is a risk, and we saw that the child, and it was a dilemma what to do. In general, in Israel, we never attack intentionally innocent civilians. This is a policy, this is our moral values, and we keep it because we know that if we will do wrong in this element for long term, our military will have a moral problem. So we really take this under consideration. And in this case, the pilot didn't attack in this moment. We waited, we created diversion, we did some manipulation in order to isolate the terrorist from the kid, and then, fortunately, we will be able to attack him before launching. But this is an example that really gives some color about the complexity of operating with a huge power on a very, very delicate and complex environment.
You know, Kobi, this is an incredible moment for our viewers as well to watch, because you know, all of these headlines, and here you are sitting in front of me, you know, as a human being, to share your concern for the life of an innocent Palestinian boy in Gaza in a way that resonates more than Hamas or Islamic Jihad care about him. And that's extraordinary, especially as people view the horrible sights that come out of the Russian aggression against the Ukraine and the kind of atrocities that take place every day. And yet, as someone who clearly loves his people and who clearly loves Israel and the Israeli Air Force, you face all of that criticism abroad, and you are someone who's gone on speaking tours and who's spoken all over the world on behalf of the state of Israel. First of all, what kind of reactions did you get as such a speaker from the public, and how does that make you feel, knowing what you know and seeing all of that criticism?
So again, Israel operates in the way that I just told you. Sometimes we do mistakes. Sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes you launch a bomb and you didn't want to hit a specific target. But again, it happened because of technical issue or others. Unintentionally. But I am one of the guys that take those decisions. So you can look me in the eye and understand the motivation and the core value that we want to restrain our power and to act with moral standards, high-level moral standards. Unfortunately, those stories does not cross the ocean.
Correct.
So people doesn't know those story. They hear usually it's a Goliath, David and Goliath. So they hear the story from the Palestinian, which reflect and get this much more echo than what we are doing. I think that Israel also does not do a good job explaining and transferring this message that I just told you. And it's create an unsafe balance for us during those talks. So, but once I meet the Jewish community here, they understand. They understand because they come to Israel. Most of them come to Israel. You cannot understand what's going on in the Middle East without coming to Israel. Understand, look at the people in the eye, and understand how we're doing and what is our story and our narrative.
And yet, in spite of the fact that not everyone can come to Israel, even though, as you're saying, is correct, you're all invited, I want to ask you specifically, you go out there and you speak on behalf of Israel. So as a decorated Israel Air Force pilot, have you encountered any kind of hostility or misunderstanding when it comes to Israel's operations against terror in the Middle East?
I got a little bit resistant from several locations that I was, but I think that we need to create a dialogue, because I understand from the other side that there is a lot of miscommunication.
Right.
By the way, this is the main problem between two enemies, that usually they are not directly speak. They speak with guns, with weapon, and not speak directly. So my feeling is, once I create and started a dialogue with those objectors that try to do sometimes a riot, I feel that we can slowly get there and be more close. I can tell you that I participated for 1 year in the Air War College in Montgomery, Alabama. It was a 1-year program for many, many countries, including the Arab.
Oh, wow.
And one of my best friends was the Lebanese guy, and we sat and talked. My feeling was that, if you sit and talk, you can solve everything. We know in general what will be the end state, what will be the peace agreement will look like. We just need to create a dialogue that allow us to understand each other, the narrative, accept each other, and decide, take a brave decision that we want to overcome those difficulties and really sign a peace treaty. I think it's possible.
In our world, we say you are the message. So if people are able to, look you in the eye the way I do and listen to the incredible words you're saying, then they do understand the heart and spirit of Israel. And I want to touch upon your work in the Squadron. We know that the Israeli Air Force is a tremendous brand, not just globally, but also in Israel, as far as its values and its ability to conduct itself efficiently and professionally. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of the Israeli Air Force.
So usually I've been asked where did I start thinking about the Squadron?
Right.
And I'm saying that when I was a Squadron commander, we got a lot of visit to the Squadron, civilians, tourists coming to the Squadron to meet us. They ask me, really, what makes the Israeli what it is? And I usually would answer that it is not the technology, this is not the aircraft, it's the people. And what makes people excellent is the environment that they live in, that allow mechanism of learning to flourish, the way you work as a team, how you take decision, how you overcome failure. So as a big organization, not everything is perfect in the Israeli Air Force, but really the core of how he take his people and make them better version of themselves, he do it beautifully. And this is exactly what made me what I am today. And this is exactly the Squadron that we want to transfer those.
Well, before that moment, I just want to, we know the value of the Israel Air Force. We know, the way it conducts itself. We know it's always been admirable, and people have known that for years within Israel and beyond. And now comes this point where you decide to export this knowledge, this toolkit, into the civilian world. Was that an easy process for you? Like, I know sometimes there is a desire to keep it within the club or just maintain it within the Air Force itself. And here you, Kobi, you come out and say, you know what? I want everyone to share those values. Tell to us about that moment. I know the Tel Aviv Center was established in 2018. So talk to me a little bit about that process of what led you to do it.
Okay, so this idea set in my mind for, 10, 15 years. And one morning I wake up and I told to my wife, admit, it's now or never. let's fulfill the dream. So we started, we quit everything we did, and we started writing a business plan. And to make the long story short, after 6 months, we opened the center. So it was a huge dilemma how to bring those tools, how to teach those schools, and how to do it through flying. Is it possible for Shahar to come and fly F-35, not in a 2 years flight course? For 30 minutes, he will sit in a briefing room, and then he will fly in a real Lockheed Martin-based software, military-grade simulator. So it was a huge dilemma. We did a lot of experiment on various people, young, old, all type of people. And we understand that if you use a precise methodology of learning, you can teach Shahar to fly F-35 in 30 minutes. You will get a mission, you will get a briefing, you will get objective, and you will fly. We will assist you during the proper process. So once we solve this dilemma, whether a normal civilian can jump in a F-35 simulator and fly in half an hour briefing, we started to think how to transfer. And so I invite you all to come and see how we do it. So there's a methodology for the day. Usually people come for a full day. We teach them, they pick a topic. It can be the briefing and continuous improvement, teamwork, decision-making process. And they come in the morning and we give them a process. At the end of the day, we give them a lot of value and, of course, a lot of joy as well.
You know, we heard in the intro that we had the company visiting 55 times and beyond. Yes. I want to ask you, what was the reaction in Israel from IAF veterans, your friends, your peers, when you opened that center in Tel Aviv?
Actually, we get a lot of positive feedback because, again, we are spreading the excellence of the Israeli Air Force the best we can in a very, very positive way. So we get a lot of backwind from the Israeli Air Force commander. He was with us during the process in order to coordinate the messaging through this. And I don't hear any criticism, just good vibes and a lot of good vibes.
So when you had, you know, the first visit by civilians, people who haven't flown planes, and you have to, they jump into that simulator. Let's talk about Israel for a minute.
Yeah.
What was it like, first of all, for you as an instructor who is welcoming, you know, civilians into the Holy of Holies to teach them the secrets of the, you know, the values of the Israel Air Force that really is very foundational in its excellence. How was that experience for you as an instructor and for your first client?
So my first client was Howard Core and Cheryl, his wife. He's the CEO of AIPAC.
Right.
And he was, we cut the ribbon together, and he was our first visitor, a VIP tour. And I was very emotional because I saw his reaction, his joy. I mean, he visited a lot of bases and Squadron, but it was the first time he can really get into a simulator, fly over Israel. We demonstrate to him the narrow shoulders of Israel near Kfar Saba. We told him, look, you are flying, this is the sea, this is Kfar Saba, this is how narrow Israel. He flew over Bet She'an, we do pause, and he looked at the screen and we told him, look, this is Israel. Here, below, this is the Palestinian Authority, this is Jordan, this is Syria, and this is Lebanon. Everything just below your wing.
Right.
And it was, wow, he really had a good time. He understands our strategic challenges very well. He had fun, he has a wife. So for me, for the first time to see this joy, it was blessed. I was blessed.
And once people, you know, talk to us about the process itself. You mentioned that you come, you have to go through a briefing, and then how does that work? How many hours does it take? What are the foundations of that day at the Squadron?
Okay. Usually our activity is a full day. You come in the morning and we have 3 phases. So if you pick, for example, a topic like teamwork, so
you get to pick what topic you want to focus on. What are the options?
The option is debriefing and continuous improvement, teamwork and team building, decision-making process, from planning to execution, leadership, those kinds of elements.
And so all of these elements are very relevant to the business world and to the civilian life. These are elements of personal excellence.
Yes. We saw, because we have a lot of experience in Israel and we get a lot of feedback from our trainees, that the methodologies that we are embedding in their company really assist them to reach higher goals, not repeat mistakes, be more efficient, and other work better as a team. So we see the effectiveness in Israel. So you come in the morning and you fly. The first
you
flight,
pick a theme, you know what theme you're going to focus on, and the first thing you do when you come is what?
You put the fly suits.
You put the overall, right?
You put your name tag, and this is, by the way, the peak of the day, because then you take picture, it's look great, people love it, and this is a great experience. Then they go to the briefing room, we give them mission, objectives, and they go to fly.
They don't know the mission before.
Before the briefing, no. They are coming, they have a mission. It's not a military mission. It's a civilian mission, it's like a navigation or like an array of gates that you have to cross through. It gives you a challenge. And then you fly the first time, and this is the base. I mean, God has given every one of us different abilities. So one can have a score of 100, 1,000, or 500. I don't mind those base scores. The only thing that is matter to me is how better you have become through the day, on the second, on the third.
So after the briefing, you go for the mission.
You go for the mission.
The mission is for how long?
Around 20 minutes.
And then what happens?
Then you are coming back to the briefing room, and we debrief the mission.
That's the famous debrief of the Israel Air Force.
So we teach methodologies. We teach you the culture, and we are going through the process deeply. And then we give you another mission.
So wait, so all of the team is there together. You know, they all finish their mission. They come into the debriefing room, and then you discuss the mission itself. Exposing people's, mistakes, criticism. How does that work?
This is a good point. We believe that in order to have an effective learning, everything needs to be transparent. You have to put the truth on the table and not hide anything.
That's always been such a big principle, within the Israel Air Force. And
because if you manipulate,
Yes,
it's not effective.
What an introduction to the corporate world.
Yes.
Come and share what you did wrong.
Yes. By the way, there's a lot of analogs of how we designed the squadron. So all of the walls made of glass, because we believe that everything needs to be transparent. It's a part of the message and the branding. So
how do people feel? Let's say in your work here in the US, you've started, operating and you're launching, recently opened. How do people react here, ordinary American from the business world, to that moment where they're exposed, their mistakes are exposed, especially within, the corporate world with a manager or the boss and then the team? How does that work?
So it takes time. We have a lot of experience in Israel with the US customers, because a lot of them are coming. Intel, for example, when they are doing a workshop in Israel, they're bringing their peers from the US. So we have a lot of experience working with the US customer. It takes some time, but this is our specialties. The guy that lead this workshop is a colonel and general from the Israeli Air Force. He's giving personal example how he debriefed himself, and he create the atmosphere that people are feeling more and more comfortable of sharing. And again, our objective is to be better version of you, of your team.
What a great value.
Yes.
And once they go through the debrief, then what happens?
They fly again, and we measure their improvement rate. So we rate the teams or the trainees according to their improvement rate, and they go to another debriefing, they fly a different mission, and again. And what is overwhelming that during this process you are increasing your performance not in 10, 20%, rather than 2, 3, 4 times more. And this is overwhelming, that if you use our methodologies and the way we ask you to act, then you can reach an unbelievable achievement. And this is the first half day. The second day, we take the discussion one floor higher. We speak about the organizational culture need to be created in your organization to allow mechanism of learning to flourish or teamwork to flourish. What is the element you need to create in your organization? And the last part is the analysis. We're looking at the first half day. we see what kind of lesson learned we can take and implement in your organization. Usually we try to refine 1 or 2 points and implement in the discussion, and then later on we can escort the company on the company site implementing those points.
So the companies that have returned continuously have shown improvement
Yes.
in all of those indexes that you've tried to take them forward.
Sure.
You know, between you and me, and don't tell anyone, this is such a great message for Israel, because you're taking not just the moral values of the Israel Defense Forces and specifically the Israeli Air Force, but the methodologies that make us all better people, better business people, better human beings, and you export them to the outside world. You say, here is a gift from Israel in how to be better in all that you do. That's an
Yes.
incredible feeling, isn't it?
Yes. Personally, I feel that I'm opening embassies of Israel all around the world.
Right.
We are exporting innovation and excellence in Israel, and again, spread it all around the world, and I feel lucky that I'll be able to do it. I'm very happy.
Innovation and excellence, so well said. So right now you're in New York.
Yeah.
Any plans on expanding beyond New York?
Sure. Our roadmap is very challenging. Next year, in the middle of next year, we're going to open one in the Silicon Valley. And a year later, 2-3 centers a year around the US, with Singapore, London, Berlin, and other countries. We see it as a huge net around the world.
Amazing. And what an incredible value for the people. Kobi, tremendous work. Thank you so much for all of your service for Israel and the Jewish people, and for all the good that you're trying to spread around us here in the United States.
Thank you for your kind words.
Incredible story. If any one of you wants to be the next Top Gun, here is your opportunity right here in New York at the Financial District. Thank you again, Kobi, for the service you've provided for all of us and for sharing those visions of innovation and excellence that are part of the Squadron. We wish you much success going forward, and it was wonderful to have you here. And to all of you, our viewers, if you would like a taste of the Squadron and access to these high-tech flying machines, you're welcome to visit the Squadron's New York Center of Excellence on the 10th floor of 7 World Trade Center, located in the shadow of the Freedom Tower and looking down upon the 9/11 Memorial. How appropriate. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time as we cast another fascinating eye on Israel.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support JBS with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more. Simply visit the JBS website at jbstv.org and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check to JBS, Post Office Box 360, Stamford, Connecticut 06904. Or you can call the JBS Pledge Line at 833-MY-JBS-TV. That's 833-695-2788. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive with our compliments. We thank you for your kind support.